I want to now bring in our guest, Neil Criddle, who's an extraordinary accountant doing extraordinary things. Remember, if he says anything you want to drill down deeper, I've got lots of questions for Neil, but if you've got questions as well, then please just, as Lisa said, put the two QQs in front, put your question in, and we will get to those as soon as possible. Actually, before I get to you, Neil, just so we know, Terry's here. Hi there, Teresa from Ottawa. Great to see you. And then we also have, I forget the name. Is it Sunny? I forget. But anyway, from Las Vegas. I hope they've tied it up after the Grand Prix in your part of the world. Okay, let's bring on Neil. How you doing?
Hello. You all right?
Hello. I'm really good, Neil. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Not too bad at all.
Awesome. So it's absolutely fantastic, amazing to have you. I know you reached out a little while ago and said you'd love to do another live stream, which is awesome because we've done a few interviews before that are on my YouTube channel, I think somewhere, where you've told your story, and you wanted to I know you wanted to update because it's pretty incredible what you've been up to. But I've got loads of questions for you, Neil, because I'm dying to find out about how you've been so successful and in just less than 4 years, if my math is right, in less than 4 years as a sole practitioner starting from scratch with no clients, you've grown to cumulative revenue of 1.2 million. So I'm guessing that, and that's pounds, so that's in US dollar terms and Canadian dollars, that's a much, much bigger number still. And if you're in South Africa, that's a much bigger number. I don't know what it is in rand. It's lots of noughts on the end, I guess. Anyway, I bet people are dying to find out how you've done that and learn from you and what you've done. But let's start, Neil, with for those people who are new, who've never met you before, no idea who you are. Do you want to just talk a little bit about you, your firm, whereabouts in the world you are based?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for the intro. So I am based not far from Abbey, actually, in Bristol, so about half an hour southwest of Bristol in the UK. And my background has been sort of predominantly within kind of commercial finance and business partnering. So for, I guess, 10 of my 13 years in industry, I've worked for big corporates and nationally known companies, and kind of progressively got senior within those businesses, led small teams, like I said, within sort of commercial finance business partnering. So kind of communicating numbers to people is kind of what I've had my background in. Never worked in an accountancy practice before setting up my business. And you're right, it will be 4 years in January 2024. So started in January 2020 and started the business through after losing my job, which was the third time that I'd lost my job in those 13 years. So kind of at that point, I had the bug to kind of do something on my own, and here we are now.
Yeah, and also you had some challenges in the early days. Not only was it an unexpected redundancy, so you were kind of thrown into the life of trying to figure out how to be a sole practitioner, but you only just got started in January, and then 2 months later, the whole world went into lockdown. Describe, Neil, some of the early challenges that you had when starting out an accounting firm in 2020.
So I kind of started to plant the seeds around, I guess, sort of September, October 2019. So I've followed you, Mark, since probably the summer of 2019. And kind of it was always my intention and plan to have my own business at some point in the future. And so I picked up a couple of freelance clients, kind of evening and weekend work, just doing some basic tax work or some basic systems work, and just kind of picked those up from Facebook, really, and just kind of hiding in sort of networking groups and small business groups locally. So I'd sort of done a little bit of work up till Christmas 2019. And then, kind of losing my job on the 14th of January 2020, and effectively deciding the next day to try and make a full-time concern of this business, with 3 clients at the time. I hadn't really had any kind of interaction with what it was like to kind of have an accountancy business. Didn't really know how to kind of interact with clients so much, or HMRC here in the UK. kind of, I knew that I was qualified, and I knew I had a practice certificate, I had insurance cover, so I had kind of the basics to get going. But it was very much kind of a trial by fire for the first couple of months. And we got to a situation where I kind of built a social media profile. I started to do video. I had a Facebook group, and I said to my wife, we effectively had 2 months to make it work from a cash position. Otherwise, I would have had to have gone and found another job. And we kind of went through the gamut of crying on the bedroom floor because I couldn't do this tax return because it was too difficult. And then obviously COVID happened, and then I was absolutely frightened that everything that I built up in the last couple of months was going to go away, and was going to absolutely disappear. And at that point, no one was recruiting. So if I had to have found another job, it was, well, it wouldn't have been thinking about with two young kids to kind of look after as well. So yeah, definitely the first 2 or 3 months were incredibly difficult mentally, financially. But as I can explain in more detail, like COVID was a bit of a perfect storm for me, because a lot of accountants were shutting up shop, they were furloughing staff, they weren't answering phones and emails, and here was me on Facebook, kind of doing all this silly video content and telling people that I could help them. So it actually worked out quite well in the end.
Yeah, and I've got loads of stuff I want to talk about. I want to talk about team building, because you've built a team. We're going to get onto that in a bit. I'd love to know more about your pricing journey. So we'll talk about pricing. What else would I like to talk about? I'd like to talk about at the end, perhaps a bit about your thoughts around business advisory, your thoughts on where the profession's going, around what your thoughts on AI and stuff like that. But let's start with kind of the headline. The headline is that you've grown incredibly fast from less than 4 years. Your cumulative revenue in 4 years has been 1.2 million. So let's talk about growth. And you've kind of touched on a couple of things you got into early days, which I know that you've got a very successful Facebook group. You also have got into video. So talk a bit about what are the things that talk about your growth and the things that you would say have worked the best in terms of winning more clients, winning business, growing your firm. Let's talk about marketing to start with.
Yeah, I mean, I guess kind of whatever I've lent myself to and whatever I've put effort in, I guess the main takeaway is consistency. And whether it's me, doing videos, or posting in my Facebook group, or just posting on social media in general, I've always tried to be relatively consistent. Yeah, on average, I'll post 3 or 4 times a week across my social media platforms. And there's always content in my head that I think I could talk about. So it might be content about the team, it might be something to do with a recent client meeting, it might be a case study that I can talk about, it might be doing an interview with Mark Wickersham that I can talk about. There's so many different bits and pieces from a business point of view that I think would make good content, from my opinion. And again, kind of going back to locally, no accountants locally to me do really anything on social media at all. So there's no kind of personal brand there. Their websites are relatively faceless. So I kind of thought initially a good way to stand out would be kind of going down that video route, but to be consistent as well. But I'm also quite keen on delivering what I would call sort of personal content as well to my audience, if we want to call it that. So whether it's me walking the dog, or showing off some of my hobbies. I think it's quite an infamous thing that I like Lego and heavy metal, and that kind of it's a nice icebreaker for people that are trying to get to know me, whether it's as a client or maybe a peer that we could do some kind of work together with. So yeah, I think the kind of the main takeaway across all the platforms, all the different bits of marketing that I've done, is just to be consistent, really.
Yeah, and I think that's a really big takeaway for people. It's that consistency within marketing is so important, and you do that exceptionally well. And I also love the point you just made about you are also bringing your personality across in everything that you do. Not a stuffy accountant in a shirt and a tie and a suit, but somebody who doesn't have. I've never seen you wear a suit, Neil. I guess you perhaps haven't got a suit. I don't know, but your personality comes across, and as we often talk about in the Value Pricing Academy, that people buy from people they like, and it's about getting our personalities across. You mentioned something I got triggered a question in my mind, Neil. I know video is a big thing, and consistency with marketing and content and stuff. Uh, you actually reached out to me just a few weeks back to say you would like me to interview you for a live stream, even though we've done many interviews before. So why do you want to appear on a live stream and be interviewed? I'm just intrigued because I'm sure there's a learning point for everybody here.
Um, I I don't know really. I think when I did my first social media video, it was a little bit nerve-wracking, and even though I was only talking into a screen, but then once I did one, I kind of wanted to do another, and then once I did another, I kind of kept going. And people that are watching this may or may not know that I do 30-day video challenges as well. So a couple of times a year, I'll go on video for 30 days in a row as a bit of a segment piece. So kind of the more I did that, the more I enjoyed it, and cynically from a marketing point of view, the more business I was getting off the back of it, with more people engaging with my content as well. And yeah, like you said, we've done a couple of interview style things before. I now teach on behalf of the Value Pricing Academy as well, which has been something that's been an added string to my bow. And the more sessions I do with that, kind of the more addictive that gets. So I think from my perspective, and I know you want to talk about the Portugal retreat later, but I've learned so much from other people. I'm still learning now, and I guess if I can spend an hour of my time trying to help other people that maybe were in my position 4 years ago, when they didn't have any clients, or they didn't know kind of how to grow sort of a marketing presence, if I can help in any way, shape or form with that, then I'd love to do so, because I think the opportunities in our industry, certainly at the moment with technology and the way that it's so easy to deliver really good content, is just the opportunities are endless, I think.
Awesome. You mentioned the Portugal retreat, so I probably will ask that question soon. But actually, before that, Abby has asked a question. So let's just answer Abby's question. She says, "What video content has been most effective on social media? Any tips?"
um any I think I don't really I don't really kind of monitor in terms of the types of content that I do in terms of what works better. I just think the more times that I do video, the more it seems to resonate with people, and the more leads and inbound inquiries I get. Like I said, that the 30-day video challenges, the month after I finish doing one of these challenges are normally really, really busy for us, with emails and Facebook messages and LinkedIn messages that have, people have seen that content. They might not have seen the whole 30 days, but they can see that I'm in the middle of doing something that's like a segment piece, and it's just piqued their interest. So I think the main thing is to not make it too dry. Not just talk about compliance or governance, or whilst those things are important and it's kind of what we do, like try and sort of splice that with a bit of personality, and maybe a bit of humor. My strapline is making finance fun, and it's kind of stuck with me almost by accident. So yeah, just try and sort of balance it between delivering insightful content that will be useful to clients, but deliver it in a really personable way, I would say.
Yeah, and you've definitely got better at video. And I think that is a key thing. Video is so important. You know it's important. I know it's important. The more you do it, the more you get confident, the more you come across relaxed, the more your personality comes across. I mean, I think you've seen, Neil, you saw one of my early YouTube videos, and I was so wooden. It was, "Hello, I'm Mark Wickersham, and in this video, I'm going to tell you about some tax stuff," or something like that. But we all have to start somewhere, and the more we do it, the better we get. And I love the fact that you do these 30-day challenges. They're extraordinary. So a question going to my mind as you've talking about you're talking about the consistency with your marketing, the consistency of posting on Facebook, the consistency of doing videos. How do you find the time for that? How do you schedule that in with all the rest of the stuff with running a busy accounting firm?
I think if I think about kind of the construction of a social media post, I mean, it could take 5 minutes to type it out. And then I tend to cross post mainly on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. So kind of the three platforms I use the most. Although the last month or two I've started to use TikTok, which is another thing altogether that I'm trying to learn. But Yeah, so maybe 5 to 10 minutes a post and 3 to 4 posts a week. I mean, we're talking like maybe 20 minutes, half an hour tops. And because I said like the ideas are kind of they're always floating around in the brain. I mean, I've got a little notepad where I just jot things down if I'm not in an opportune moment to post. So nothing tends to be scripted, nothing is scheduled, not really. Everything is just posted organically whenever I have the time to do it, and it's it could be whilst I'm waiting for the chicken to cook in the oven or something of an evening. So it's nothing too formal, and I don't think it really takes too much time. I mean, clearly the video side of things can take a bit longer. I do a monthly roundup video after every month in the year. That could take maybe 3 or 4 minutes to film, but I think the key thing to note is that the majority of my content is live, so I'm not then recording it, editing it, and doing all that sort of stuff as well, which will obviously take more time. I have started to experiment a little bit with some other videos and adding captions and doing stuff with a bit of a slicker professional style. But in terms of the majority of my content, most of it is live, so it's shot on the phone, shot on the camera in the office, and then it's done, it's posted, and then that's it.
Yeah, that's a really good tip. And as you know, Neil, we do the same thing. If you look at my YouTube channel, most of our stuff this year has been live streams. It's because you just do it live. You can't edit it. If you make mistakes, if you say the wrong things, that's it. It's live. You can't fix that, which is great because it makes it easy to do content. And when I do videos on my YouTube channel, I just have the same mindset. I haven't edited a YouTube video for years. I just do them as if I'm live because it saves so much time. It means we can be consistent and get stuff out there. Neil, there's a question came in from Lisa, I think, and because you mentioned TikTok earlier, Lisa said, what platform do you find best for getting new clients? Is it Facebook? Is it LinkedIn? Is it TikTok? Is it something else?
I think initially for the first maybe year of my journey, Facebook was really powerful, and certainly in the local area. But then I guess as my brand has increased, and I guess I've become a little bit more well known, then LinkedIn has been like probably 3 times as powerful. And the seesaw's flipped the other way now. We still get really good traction. I mean, I got a Facebook message today from somebody that potentially wants to do some business, but LinkedIn for us is attracting bigger clients with bigger fees, with more things to do, on the advisory front. So it's more, I wouldn't call it exciting work, but it's kind of bigger ticket work that we can do now that's come through LinkedIn. I post on Instagram all the time, get very little from Instagram. TikTok is relatively quite new for me. So yeah, I'd say LinkedIn over Facebook at the moment, but certainly at the beginning, Facebook was absolutely critical.
Okay, interesting. I personally, I prefer Facebook, but LinkedIn probably is second. If you could give just one tip then, one tip for how you use LinkedIn to get more clients.
Um, oh, crikey. One tip, consistency. I think I've got just over 5,000 followers now, and the more I post and the more I share content, the more follower requests I get. And I know if I'm on holiday and I don't post for a couple of weeks, that dips. So um, consistency in terms of what you're posting, but make sure you engage with other people's posts as well, because then their network will see that you've commented, and chances are they may get in touch as well. So be engaged, not just delivering the content, but also interspersing with other people's content too.
Okay, great, awesome. Uh, let's you mentioned earlier. Let's mention the Portugal retreat because I have a question about that, Neil. As you know, one of the things we do in the Value Pricing Academy, we now have a Portugal retreat, which we've done twice this year, which is an opportunity for people in the academy to come out and spend 2.5 days with other academy members, with me, my team, do some intensive work on how do we solve our challenges in our practices, but also a lot of fun stuff as well. And Neil, you've been to both of them this year, and I understand that you've put your name down straight away to come back to the first one of next year as well in May. So my question is, why do you keep coming back to the Portugal retreat? What is it about it that's so appealing to you?
Well, for one thing, the weather is so much better than Western-super-Mare. I can't really complain about the weather. So, but no, seriously, the first one was a bit of an unknown because it was, the first one, and I think there was probably 6 of us from the academy there at that first one. But I came away with so many ideas. I scribbled on my iPad for the full 2 days, and we implemented the majority of those things, and it worked really, really well. So when I knew that there was going to be another one, and actually the one back in October I think was 12 people, so it was double the size. um, I thought, great, well, there's another opportunity to kind of, learn from other people. I knew a couple of people that were going beforehand who were academy members for quite a while, who I thought that, would be quite cool to meet them, considering they're in the UK but never met them before. And the same thing happened again. Like, I've written down lots and lots and lots of things that I think will really benefit my business and benefit my life. And a couple of things that I managed to pick out that weren't covered in the first session. One of which was Chat GPT, because that was relatively new for all of us back in March. So that wasn't really covered at all, I don't think. Whereas obviously the session last month, we spent a lot of time on Chat GPT, and again, it just kind of funneled lots of content ideas for me and what I can do from a marketing perspective. And then from an academy member, she introduced me to a learning and development platform that I'd never heard of before. And I checked that platform out as soon as I came back, and that's full of resources for CPD and other bits and pieces. And I've signed up now, and that will be both from a content kind of creation point of view, but also the development of my team, and what I can see happening next year. We're going to have a more formal structured development and training plan, for me as well. And if it wasn't for going to that retreat in Portugal, then I would have never found out. Well, probably would have never found out about that platform. So if nothing else, for those two things combined, it was absolutely worthwhile.
Awesome. And so, how important to you is networking with other like-minded accounting firms?
It's really important, and actually, it's something I can't do locally because I feel like I'm a bit of an island in terms of the way that I go about the business and the way that I market myself. So it's very rare that I can do any kind of in-person, face-to-face networking locally because we're just too different. If I think about my industry, but it's kind of why I hang out on LinkedIn quite a lot, because I do follow like-minded people. Whilst sort of digital accountants are still typically in the minority in the UK, they're the only sorts of people that I hang out with on LinkedIn. And again, generating ideas from those sorts of people online has been really, really good. And even through the academy, even without the retreat, I've met people in person, in the UK, who I've met through the academy. And one of those, Clive Hand, who actually lives in Ireland. I've seen him twice now. He's come across the UK a couple of times, and we've got some interesting plans for next year that we're going to do some collaboration work on. And we've passed referrals backwards and forwards as well between Ireland and the UK. So cynically, from a business point of view, it's been really, really good, really enlightening. But just from sharing ideas and I don't have a business partner. It's been a lonely journey. So for me to kind of learn from other like-minded people in the academy has just been absolutely incredible.
Yeah, awesome. And when we ran the two Portugal retreats this year, obviously the focus was on helping solve various the different challenges. But one of the things that I found interesting, and as you know, Neil, on both the retreats, when we looked at what are the challenges that people are facing, one of the biggest challenges that came out was how do we find great people? How do we motivate great people? How do we build a team of people? And that seems to be a big challenge amongst small accounting firms. And you've grown from just you when you started at the start of 2020, and you've now got, I think it's a team of 5. So in terms of, let's talk about growing a team of people. What are some of the challenges you found with growing your team, and how have you? I think you put six things up earlier, so perhaps I got it wrong. So what are some of the update me? What are some of the challenges you've had with hiring people, and how have you overcome those challenges?
We are a team of 6 as of yesterday. So yesterday our sixth member joined. Um, I think when I did this interview with you 3 years ago now, crazy where that time goes. So I've managed to scale it up to 100,000 turnover in year one. We got to 250,000 in year two, but at that point I was kind of really starting to creak and figuring out, if I wanted to keep growing, I'd either have to employ people or offshore, was a possibility, or I just stop onboarding new clients and, kind of plateau and just sort of have almost a one in, one out policy. But I wanted to help more people. And I thought, well, I've managed lots of teams previously in my career. I think my largest team was about 12 people. So I thought, well, I know how to manage. I think I know what being a good manager is all about. And I thought, well, let's try and grow it that way and hire people in. And I kind of gone one of two ways in terms of either hiring experienced people on higher salaries and then being able to hit the ground running, or going down the more junior route and saving money effectively on starting salaries, but then spending and investing time to kind of develop younger talent, and that's the route that I went down. The first person didn't work out, and it didn't work out for a variety of different reasons, mainly because we didn't have an office at that time. And this would have been sort of towards the end of summer 2021. They were 18 years old, first job. We had no office. COVID was still kind of lingering around a little bit. And I tried to manage that individual as I'd managed teams in the past, which, teams of part qualified accountants that had kind of, had a bit of experience. So I learned fast from that experience. And my next hires, which were right at the end of 2021, two fellas started the same day. They had no experience, so I knew that was the route I wanted to go down. But in terms of my management style, I just had to be a bit more hands-on. I had to be, a bit closer to them, not through lack of trust, but just because I just felt that they needed more support and help than what I previously thought with, the previous person that we had. And so, we moved into an office at that time as well. So we moved into an office, and I had two new starters all on the same day. And then we had Christmas, and then the January tax season here in the UK, January 2022, that would have been. And yeah, I mean, one of the people we found on a government scheme, it was a government COVID scheme where they're trying to employ young people on universal credit, which is a benefit here in the UK. So I managed to find that person. They were working in Tesco's. They had the AAT qualification, which is a junior accountancy qualification here in the UK. So he kind of earned his stripes that way, but had no practical experience. And then the other person was a friend really who I've known for about 7 or 8 years, who'd worked in an off license for the last 8 years, but showed a desire to want to get into the industry. So both of those examples were hiring based on personality. Met with them. I knew that they could speak to clients. They were very forthcoming. They were very engaging. They just didn't really know what they were doing from a theoretical, practical point of view. And I thought, well, I could teach them the systems. That's easy. I could teach them the theory, and they can go off and do additional qualifications if they want to kind of help supplement that. And that's exactly what we did. And yeah, like I say, now we're a team of six. The person that I've hired, who started yesterday, has no experience in accountancy business. They're a bit older. They're 39, so same age as me. But they just showed a real willingness to want to get to, have a career change and get into the industry, and hopefully work for a dynamic business locally that's doing hopefully a lot of interesting things. And again, going back full circle, the social media profile and the branding has really helped to attract talent, because I've not spent a penny in recruiters' fees. I've not had to wait too long to hire people. Whenever I've put up a post saying that I've got a position to fill, I've normally been able to get a decent amount of contact, engagement, CVs through, and I've been able to kind of hire from that way.
Yeah, interesting. You said that the person you just hired doesn't have experience in the profession, which is interesting, because I got me thinking of one of my best hires in the days when I ran my accounting firm myself, and I made lots of mistakes with hiring in the early days, but I did start to get a few things right. And my best hire was somebody who was selling bank products in a bank, but she always wanted to be an accountant. Her name was Jenny. Some people here might know her because she's now Jenny Lucas, runs AVN in the UK with Shane. They were both out here in Portugal recently, and she was extraordinary because I hired her because of her attitude, not because of her CV or skills, because she had no accounting background at all, other than the fact that I think she was doing her CIMA exams, which is in the UK, that's management accounting. But she had such an amazing attitude and personality that I was just getting into business advisory, and so I decided she was the person that I could train up to deliver advisory services. And I think within about I think it was after a first or second year. Second year, I think it was. She then was project managing a £30,000 consulting assignment with a firm lawyer practice, where she was doing all the advisory work, just following the systems that I'd created, which was extraordinary. Which I think, like you, Neil, it suggests that you don't necessarily need to have people who are from the accounting background. If they've got the right attitude, they can do extraordinary things. Let me just I can see quite a couple of questions come in. Let me just backtrack to Willie's question. So sorry, Willie. Earlier on, Neil, you mentioned at the Portugal Retreat that you came across a great piece of a learning platform, and Willie says, can you share the name of that learning platform?
Yeah, it's called 2020 Innovation. So the number's 2020 Innovation. Yeah, you should be able to Google that, and it should come up. But yeah, very. We signed up last week. Very, very impressed. Lots of content. Very excited to use it with the team going forwards.
Awesome. And on that subject, Neil, I know that one of the things that a lot of accountants, bookkeepers, they ask about and want to know about is they want to know what's the best tech stack. So just very quickly, Neil, what's your three favorite pieces of tech, of software in your tech stack in your firm?
I think if I discount the accountancy side, so we predominantly use Zero as accountancy software. We do use QBO and a couple of other platforms, but I guess kind of taking that to one side, at the moment we use Center for our practice management kind of CRM tool, our workflow tool. And that's essentially our Bible that holds all of our client details, all of our deadlines, all of our workflows, checklists, etc. And it just creates a consistent way of working with all of our clients, no matter what industry, shape or size they are. The way that we do a VAT return is the way that we do a VAT return or sales tax return. The way that we submit payroll is the way that we submit payroll. So it's a very consistent approach, and it's facilitated by that system. Ignition was a big thing for us sort of early on. I think I probably signed up to them within the first 6 to 9 months of the journey, and it takes away the manual creation of writing proposals and doing different options, and it's all very drag and drop. It's very, very quick and slick, but it's also linked with a payment engine. So all of my clients pay me via direct debit, and the invoices to them go out automatically. So again, I'm saving masses of time sending out whatever, like 130 invoices every single month, and then 130 manual bank transfers coming back. So that saved quite a lot of time. And then the third one really is Sift Analytics, that I've kind of raved about on conferences that I've spoken to and coaching sessions that I've done. And Sift Analytics, for those who don't know, is effectively a management reporting bolt-on. It synchronizes with data across all sorts of different accountancy platforms. So like I said, we use it predominantly with Zero. So kind of any adjustments we do in Zero, and then we sync it across to Sift Analytics, and then we run management reports. We look at quality of data. We do a lot of audit checking, system diagnostic, things like that. But it's enabled us to create reporting templates that take minutes to create, that we can then produce for clients. They look super slick. They have charts, graphs, diagrams, words, tables of numbers. There's all sorts of different kind of types of data on there. And then the time saved doing that in manually in Excel, or kind of stitching together a Zero report, which could take a lot of time. We use that time saved to then take the clients through the actual reports and to do some really interesting advisory work, which the clients love them. They're really, really impressed by the professionalism of the reports. So yeah, Center, Ignition, and Sift Analytics, I would say, are 3 key pieces of tech at the moment.
Awesome. Neil, what I want to talk about next is I want to talk about your pricing journey. I'd like to talk a bit about business advisory and perhaps where you see the profession going. But before we do that, I know you've mentioned the Portugal Retreat, and obviously I mentioned the Value Pricing Academy. So if it's okay with you, Neil, I'm going to have a kind of a 2-minute break and just tell people a couple of things about that. So back in just a second. So for those of you that don't know what the Value Pricing Academy is, just very, very quickly, it's been around, I founded it in 2014, so it's next year's the 10th year anniversary. John Johnson is here. He's been with me since day one, been in the Academy. I help people build more successful accounting firms, focusing on getting pricing right, but also many other things like creating more value through being experts at business advisory. We are having a little bit of a change for next year because we will now have 3 levels of the Value Pricing Academy, because people often ask, Mark, where can I start? I want to get started with you. Where's the best place to start? So we do have our top level, which we're now calling Value Pricing Academy Mastery, and that's closed at the moment. We are opening enrollment in June 2024 when we run the 3-day business advisory masterclass. We also have our next level down is what used to be called the Bookkeepers Pricing Academy, but people often thought that was just for bookkeepers, but it's just as much for small accounting firms that want to grow. So that is going to be renamed Value Pricing Academy Growth. It's our second level of the academy. That's currently closed for enrollment, but we are opening it up in February when we run our 3-day conference, the Profitable Bookkeeping Conference. That's in February. But we also have an entry level, which is open right now, called Value Pricing Academy Foundations. And we are making some big changes to this with some new stuff coming out in January. But we also have a very, very special founder member offer right now. So if you are not in the Value Pricing Academy and you want a great place to start, then we have got a founder member offer where your monthly investment is way less than $100 a month. You're going to get huge amounts of resources, live training. And the thing people tell us about the Academy they love the most is that when you join the Academy, the price doesn't go up. Even though we keep adding more content every year, you get to lock your price in. So I'm going to ask my team to put in the link somewhere in the comments, wherever you are, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. I'll put the link to the entry level of the Value Pricing Academy, Value Pricing Academy Foundations. And we have a very special price for 2 more days. So go and check out that link when we finish. We did launch it a few months ago called the Profitable Growth Academy, PGA, but it's now Value Pricing Academy Foundations. Go and check that out. And in the next 2 days, you've got still a chance to get the very special founder member price. Okay, Neil. Back to you. And if you have any questions, by the way, on the Value Pricing Academy, just reach out to our team at support@wickersham.co.uk. So, Neil, I actually have a question about the Value Pricing Academy with you, because one of the things that I find extraordinary about you and John Johnson, another person as well, and a few others, is you've been part of the Academy since day one, and you almost never, ever, ever miss a live training session. Even though some of the things we talk about are topics we've done before in the curriculum, you keep coming back to the live sessions. Why? What's the reason for keep coming back?
I think there's a couple of main reasons. I guess number one, you're always really keen for people to ask questions, and by default the questions will always be different on the live sessions. So, some of those questions have sparked ideas, things that I've not thought about before. So, it's really super interesting to hear other people's kind of journeys and what they're doing. But also, the topics may be the same, but the way that you deliver the content, in my opinion, seems to change organically. So, for example, ChatGPT has had a big impact this year in terms of what you've been delivering. So, how to price tax returns, I might have seen that session 3 times, but actually, if you do a session now this year on how to price tax returns, it's got some ChatGPT content in there, then it's probably something I've not thought about or I've not experimented with. So, I guess what I'm trying to say is just there's always ideas to garner from going to the live sessions, and we're all busy people, and if I do miss a session, the intention to watch a recorded session is always there, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. Whereas if I'm regimented and I block the dates out in the diary as soon as they're released, then that's it. No one else can book a meeting, and that's my time to do a bit of sort of self-development.
Awesome, amazing. And I do find there is a strong correlation between those people that keep showing up live and those that are successful, that are doing amazing things. Teresa Slack's another one that's got an extraordinary story. She always shows up live. Jessica Fox has got an amazing bookkeeping firm. in the US, John Johnson, who's here today, and many, many others. So on the subject of value pricing, let's talk a bit about your pricing journey and what we can learn from that. So talk about what was pricing like in the early days, and how has that changed over the years? How has it improved? What are you doing different, perhaps, to what you weren't doing at the start?
I think the fundamentals have pretty much remained unchanged. So, I kind of skipped charging by the hour in terms of a methodology, and I went straight to kind of menu pricing with providing options. And, kind of, I guess the prioritizing of, starting the business was right. Okay, so I think I can do social media okay, and I think I can talk to clients okay. So what's the real fundamental thing that I really have no idea of? And it was pricing. So very early, I wanted to kind of get the teachings from you in terms of the menu pricing sort of foundations initially, and then it was about creating packages that I could deliver to clients. I've tried to keep things simple in terms of offering four key services, and they are accounts and tax, payroll, bookkeeping, and business advisory. So it's really kind of super efficient in terms of what we do. There's nothing kind of too complex in there. Um, but then within each kind of service, I call essentials, full, and premium tiers. And I've given clients pretty much a pick and mix style approach. So we don't kind of say, well, these are the only three things that you could do. But in reality, there's a lot more connotations and permutations of what you can have from us. So that methodology hasn't really changed from the beginning. I think the way I communicate it is a lot better. The fees that I charge are a lot more. So when I look at, I know that you like as a KPI, average fee per client. So when I look at that, it's more than doubled, I think, really since the very beginning. And I'm still delivering the same services. Yes, we've invested in a bit of tech. We do things maybe in a slightly different way, but fundamentally, the way that I conduct myself and the quality of what I produce, I think is still has been the same since the beginning. So, yeah, I mean, we've kind of gone on that sort of menu to value pricing journey. That there are some things at the beginning that we didn't charge for, despite doing kind of menu and value pricing. Things like setting up zero, for example, company formations. Just a couple of things that I can remember off the top of my head that I'd done for free in the past. And we just come off a systems migration piece of work now, and I've charged over £2,000 for that plus sales tax. So that's the kind of stuff that I think has been the evolution of what we've done. And I'm just pushing the boundary in terms of what I'd consider to be our base price, the lowest amount of fee that we'd work for. The downside of that is we're potentially pushing out some of the smaller clients who we still really enjoy working with, but I think we're just getting maybe a little bit too expensive for them now. And I think I mentioned at the Portugal retreat, I think that the evolution of who we're working with has been sort of led by how we price. But I guess from my point of view, the more I can push the boundaries and the more that the people are willing to pay, they're clearly seeing the value in what we can do. And we'll hopefully just keep evolving that way.
Yeah, I remember you said, I think on a recent academy session, Neil, that we were talking about. I think I was talking about how to move people to a cloud accounting system and charge for it, how to price that. And I seem to recall in the chat box you said something like you used to give that away for free, and now you've made over 30 grand in that service. And you just mentioned as an example, you've just done a systems migration, which I think you said that would have been done for free, and you got 2 grand for that. So what's the secret? What's the key to getting good quality, high level fees for things that perhaps many people are just doing for free in the profession?
Well, firstly, I'm telling them that this is what we charge, rather than just offering it for free. So I'm kind of saying that this is a complicated task. Quite often I'll go through several of the steps that are involved. So whether it be the formation of a chart of accounts, it could be linking to HMRC, it could be linking to our internal systems, it could be from a reporting point of view, setting up reports, invoice templates, linking bank accounts to the software via the auto feed. So there's lots of things that I guess we as accountants probably take for granted during something so simple as a setup. that's pretty, it can be relatively bespoke, but in most cases is pretty vanilla for clients in general. But it does take time for us to do these things, and it is a skill that not necessarily everyone can do. We offer training as well for system setup. So we throw in an hour video call or an hour face-to-face meeting as part of that fee. So it's not like it's a 2-minute job. And the client doesn't really see what we've done. We take the client through the steps of what we are doing and why we're doing it, but then also given that training aspect as well.
Amazing. I'm just conscious I've got more things I want to talk about. We've only got 12 minutes left. I want to talk about advisory. I want to talk about some other stuff as well. But there were 2 questions came in earlier. Let me just deal with those, otherwise I'll forget about them. One was from Paul. Paul said, Neil, can you give an indication of how the growth in fees has occurred? Rough percentages on referrals, Google Ads, website, social media, walk-ins, etc. He says phenomenal growth. And if I could just add something to that, just put a spin on that, and perhaps as a second answer is when you think about the incredible growth in your firm, is that down to just marketing? What part has pricing better played in terms of the growth, whether it's top line, bottom line? So 2 questions there. Sorry, I probably confused you.
That's okay. Crikey. I guess from a fee perspective, years 1 to 4, 100 grand, 250, 365, and 500. So we're due to do 500,000 this year, hopefully this calendar year. As a percentage of referrals, percentage of source, I'd probably say at the moment maybe 40% referral, 40% LinkedIn, 20% Facebook as just a general kind of gauge. And then your secondary question, Mark, refresh me on that one. I've lost my train of thought.
When you think about how your firm's grown, what part has pricing and value pricing played in the growth of the firm, whether that's top line or bottom line or both?
Okay, cool. Yeah, so we have repricing conversations with clients every year, at least every year. And on a session that you did a little while ago, I dug out some stats, and actually all the repricing conversations that we've had with these existing clients have led to a 54% uplift in those clients' original fees, which when I looked at the numbers, it equates to about another 100 grand from an annual perspective in terms of fees. So, clearly if we'd not had those conversations, we'd be 100 grand less in terms of our fee structure right now. So I think, that's been super important. And yeah, clients that are contacting us now aren't going to get the same sort of fees that, they would have done had they contacted us 3 or 4 years ago. Off the top of my head, we were probably charging £150 a month on average, within our portfolio, and that figure's shot up now. It's probably about maybe 275 to 300 a month on average. And that's just because there's twofold. There's, we're working with bigger and we work with bigger clients that require more work and therefore more services to deliver. But also, like I said, my base price has just increased, and there is a floor level in terms of what we're prepared to work with now. And with increase of cost with 6 people and rent of an office and things like that, I've had to be a bit pragmatic and say we'd like to work for Joe Buggs around the corner for £40 a month, but it's just not viable anymore when we've got clients that are willing to pay us £400 a month that we could deliver some really good work with. So yeah, bit of a combination of all of that, I would say.
Yeah, wow. There's some really key insights there. And I think the one that I take away from that people should be noting is repricing your clients and increasing average prices by 54% in those conversations, which most accounting firms, they don't change their prices every year. And a lot of bookkeepers have said to me, "Oh, I've had the same rates for the last 6 years," and that's why many accounting firms are not making as much money as they should do. Why they're working crazy hard. That we need to keep putting prices up to reflect the extra value we're creating, and so we can then do more for them. So I mean, that's a powerful message that you've 54%. Wow! And you said earlier, Neil, that you measure that number average fee per client. And you said you've doubled that. So that clearly is some of the secret to your extraordinary success. And you're doing an amazing job.
I would say that we don't put everyone's prices up every year. I think there has to be something tangible or logical for us to do in order to do that. Inflation is a thing that we can't get away from, but we look at things like volume of transactions, we look at turnover and profit of clients, we look at numbers of people on payroll. So we take KPIs and graphs and things like that from SIFT to present to the client to say your transactions have gone up 20%, so therefore there's going to be an uplift in your bookkeeping fee next year. So we try and make it as tangible as possible, so that a client's not just seeing a fee increase, they understand why we're doing this.
Yeah, great point. And that leads me on to what I want to talk about next, that it's not just about with value pricing. Part of it is how do we create more value for our clients? How can we be more valuable so we can command those higher fees? And we've heard for many years now people talk about how important business advisory is. But I know for you that it certainly is a key part of what you do. Describe how business advisory fits in with your firm and why you see that as being so important in the profession.
It's just who I am. I think it's just like, why would I not want to talk to clients about their numbers, and to give them the insights in order to save tax, but to kind of maximize their business performance. Like, there's nothing in there that's negative. Like, if they win, then I win. So and again, coming from my industry background, it's kind of what I did for a job, and I just thought that was the norm, and that all accountants gave that sort of advice to clients. Very quickly I realized that isn't actually the case, and we seem to be in the minority in the industry, certainly in the UK. So yeah, we speak to clients on average 3 to 4 times a month, and it could be on a variety of different things, including payroll submissions, VAT, sales tax queries, bookkeeping queries. But we produce reports for clients, monthly, quarterly. We take them through that, whether that be through email, video call, face to face. We give out reminders before the end of the tax year, so we tell them what the business has done, or what they've done personally as well, so that not only are they up to date with their position, they know roughly what their tax bill is going to be before the end of the year, but we've got that sort of month or two before the end where we can do something a bit more creative, or we can minimize that tax for them. Corporate restructures with holding companies and investments in property or stocks and shares and things like that. It's all kind of stuff. Again, I'm doing a lot of this myself. I invest in property as a bit of a sideline, and we've restructured our business to kind of maximize our wealth from a selfish point of view. So why would I not want to give that knowledge and insight to all of my clients as well? But fundamentally, it's just how I think we should be as an industry. Like I said, other than talking to people, which I get that not everyone is comfortable talking to people, but we're in a service-based industry, and it takes a lot of years for us to get qualified in our industry. So to kind of sort of not deliver a decent service that I consider we should be doing is doing ourselves a bit of a disservice. So yeah, I don't think I'm doing anything that's really scientific or taxing, excuse the pun, but yeah, I think for whatever reason, it's just something that our industry is not very good at the moment.
Okay, so here's an important question that I know some people want to ask you, but they're too shy to ask. Who is your favourite heavy metal band?
Metallica.
And what's your next gig?
I think after I come back from New York, I've got a gig in Bristol on the 15th of December, I think it is, just before my birthday. So yeah, probably that. It's a small sort of 200 capacity venue, so nice dingy dark room with some heavy metal.
I think I can beat you on that. I think mine's next week. So my favourite rock band is Led Zeppelin, because I'm an oldie. And next week, Sarah and I are off to see in Portugal. We're off to see Greta Van Fleet, who I've been looking forward to seeing for some time now. I was going to see them, and then lockdown got in the way. They were playing in the UK somewhere, and then that got postponed. So second chance of getting there. Okay, and another really important question that I think we should, because we've got 3 minutes left. I know Abby's got a question. Abby's is more of a UK specific question. We have an international audience, so maybe we could do a quick answer at the end of it, or maybe you put it in the Facebook group because she's in the Value Pricing Academy. Abby is, or the Bookkeepers Pricing Academy. So she did ask, just to let you know, what do you use for tax and account submission and anti-money laundering? So is that okay to answer that perhaps offline via the Facebook group for Abby? Because I think it's a more important question.
Yeah, I mean, accounts and tax is zero tax, and then AML at the moment is verify, although we're looking to change. But yeah, I'm happy to go into more detail on the Facebook group. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, my final question. Actually, another one. Mark's just come in. Mark Rayner says, New York, when? When you go?
I'm flying out on Monday, and then I'm staying there till I think it's Friday evening we fly back. So yeah, all of next week.
Okay, awesome. So my question is, thinking about the future of, I suppose it's a two-part question here. What's your view on the future of the accounting profession, given all this talk we've had this year, particularly about ChatGPT, AI? Where do you see the profession going? Where do you think people should be focusing their efforts on, their learning, and the direction of their firm?
I read a good study by my good friend Will Farnell here in the UK, and he says that digital adoption in the majority is only 20% in the UK. So only 20% of UK firms are using digital tools with their clients. So and that percentage, I don't think he said has changed in the last 5 to 10 years. So I think if we're in the 20%, we're already in a very small minority doing things differently just by using Zero and QuickBooks. I think if you drill that down, if you attend conferences, if you kind of do more CPD type stuff, you're probably in a lower percentage again. And then we're talking about AI and Chat GPT. I mean, we're talking handfuls of people that are probably really utilizing it to deliver services, or definitely to deliver kind of their marketing. So I think everything that you're teaching in terms of both pricing, marketing, how we should be talking to clients, how we should market ourselves on social media, and Chat GPT and AI. I'm just kind of riding the crest of that wave, because I think if I can do those things, then I will continue to stand out and hopefully deliver a service that's far different than anyone else is doing locally. And I think that would be a thing for a while to come. I think I read somewhere Chat GPT. I think it's got another 5 years until it matures or something. So we're just at the start of what it can do, and look at the progress that we've seen in the last 6 to 9 months already. So yeah, just continue to do what I'm doing on social media, continue to embrace AI and to use it. And unfortunately, I think the ones that won't use it will probably be left behind.
Absolutely. Great advice. One final question. I know we're out of time now. It's 5 o'clock in Portugal, but one final quick question, and it needs a longer answer sometime. But Lisa says, "How did you learn business advisory?"
Um, I, well, I've been doing it for so long. I don't really know. I like to think that I like to talk to people, and I like to think that I'm relatively decent with numbers and communicating numbers. And I think that's the segue, isn't it? It's kind of taking a profit loss account and delivering a story with it. I'm really hot on KPIs and dashboards and statistics. So trying to communicate to a client, if you multiply, if you take their labor cost against their revenue and do maybe cost per employee, and track that as a KPI across a specific time period, then they know that if they generate more sales, then they're going to get a better KPI. If they spend more money on staff, they're going to get a poorer KPI. So it's about kind of trying to tie in financially what they're doing operationally, because they do the operation stuff. I can't do that. But if I can give them the levers to understand how the numbers are manipulated by what they do in the business, then that's how we can get that secret sauce. But yeah, in terms of learning it, I don't know. It's just kind of organically come. But I think it's the personable aspect of just talking to people. I think is kind of the key thing.
Wow, you've shared so much great stuff there, Neil. I've had great fun. The time's just flown by, and I wish we had more time to go deeper still. But if I could just ask everybody who's been watching, if you've enjoyed it, if you could just click that thumbs up, that like, whatever button you've got on your social media, wherever you are, and that would be much appreciated. And also, we're going to play out as normal with some music for 3 minutes. It would be great if you could just share in the comments what's been your number one insight? What's the thing that you found the most valuable from hearing Neil? If you could put that in the comments, that would be awesome. Neil, thank you so much. It's been amazing. And I look forward to seeing you in Portugal next year at the next Portugal Retreat. That's the next time in real life I'll see you, I guess. But I'll see you online many times before then. And enjoy New York.
Thank you all. Thanks for having me, Mark. Cheers.
Thank you.
my time, I wasted all my nights, I wasted it on someone who's indifferent. He didn't love me right, he told me I was blind, but I never really wanted to listen.